Welcome to the Legacy and Light podcast, where we are creating a culture of community by sharing stories of what God has done. I'm Allie Maddox, your host for today's episode, and today we have, I'm sure will be a pretty familiar face for a lot of people. It's Alison Webb.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for being here.
I would say I'm super excited about it. I'm a little bit nervous, but I am
Sure.
glad to be here.
I love your overalls.
Thank you. I've had some compliments today, so
I think they're so cute.
trying to look younger than my age. Not sure.
I think you and Kate dress so nice, honestly.
Well, she has
really
much
cute.
better taste than I do, so she's usually my influencer.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about you right now. Where would we most likely be able to find you in the church?
Sure. I am David Wilson's assistant. I've been here for about 14 years.
Wow.
And so I'm in the pastoral offices, and just last year was given the honor to be the director of the admin team of all the administrative assistants here. So, but location is pastoral office and sometimes all around,
Yeah.
I like to intermingle with everybody and just know folks and know what, and sometimes that takes a greater effort for me because I'm very task oriented.
I like to check things off the list.
Yeah, I'm that person.
I think that's great. That feels like a really good personality
Well,
for that type of
depends
role.
on who you ask.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah, depends on who you ask.
Yeah. Well, I just know that anytime that I've ever come into your presence, you have been so joyful and so kind. And I just think that really makes a difference to people that are coming in the offices and just like asking questions about things, because this is a big church and I feel like it can be kind of intimidating. And so when people come to you and you're just smiling and kind and helpful, I think that really helps people feel more belonging.
Thank you.
Here.
Thank you. Very kind
So
words.
Thank you for that.
Appreciate it. Not every moment is like that, I promise.
I'm sure.
You've caught me on the good ones.
Okay. But so tell me about kind of like your journey to knowing the Lord. Were you raised in a Christian home or not? Or
I used to actually say I was not brought up in the church and raised in a Christian home, but I think some of my memory was keeping me from remembering some stuff. And my mom passed away last year, and there's just been a journey of trying to think back and talking with my sister and memories and visiting with dad, and even going back to my Bible that was given to me when I accepted Christ, that I remember more accurately now.
yeah.
And so, yes, I was brought up going to church.
Okay.
I do not remember having talk and prayer and, Jesus-centered lifestyle under the roof of the home. But I accepted Christ at 14. And my folks we were members at a church in Arlington, accepted Christ at 14. I remember that my Sunday school teacher, Miss Carolyn, was very active part of that decision, more so than I would say my parents. And again, I don't know if this is memory and what I don't remember accurately. But then mom and dad started going to church more regularly and getting plugged in and involved. And I would say we all just kind of grew together, maybe. So that was, I can think back to Vacation Bible School, though, as a small child. So, and Sunday school and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it was a part of my life, but maybe not an emphasis,
Sure.
as a child.
Yeah.
Until I became an older teenager and could drive and take myself and
Make your own decision around
yeah,
that.
and be heavily involved. I wanted to be
Yeah. So you accepted Jesus at 14.
14.
Tell me about that.
I say my memory, and what's concerning about that is my mom had dementia, and so I think I have a fear of that, and so, but I'm still trying to be very honest with myself about it. But I know that I walked forward on Mother's Day,
Aw.
and
That's really good to be that specific.
well, and
about that.
also it was written. My mom wrote it in my Bible
Yeah.
that they gave me in honor of that time
Mhm.
of being a new believer, and I'm thankful that she did. I don't remember a big dramatic
Mhm.
anything.
Yeah.
Other than I just got it. I just got Jesus,
I love
who
that.
he wanted to be for me, and who, if I would allow him to be in my life,
Mhm.
and to lead my life. And, still a rebellious teenager doing my own things all throughout high school, um, but still hungry for him.
Mhm.
And so, that I think that's still a battle I deal with today, even.
So 14 to maybe graduating high school. What happened after graduating high school?
After high school, I went to tech.
Nice.
I'm the oldest. It's me. It's my sister Amy, who's 5 years younger than me. That was harder for her than I realized because we were really close. Very small family. Both my parents were only children, so I had no aunts or uncles. We had no cousins. Both of our grandfathers passed away before we were born. So it was essentially my mom, dad,
Just
my two
tight knit.
grandmothers, and my sister and I.
Man.
And so she and I were very close. Anyway, went to tech, lived in the dorms, and very much walked on both sides of the fence during that time, and actually became pregnant my second semester at tech. I don't even know how to put it in words. I called my folks and told them that I was pregnant, and kind of silent. Dad got off the phone, and then mom just said, "We love you." And I was scared. I was so scared. But I knew, I will say just straight up, an abortion was not an option. I had just turned 19. And my boyfriend at the time, also a believer, you know, neither one of us, he was committed to quit school, quit tech, and work full time to support us. Circle back to about a week after that phone call to my parents. I went home for, I think it was Easter. And that was just a very emotional weekend, but it was very revealing of my parents' love and commitment for me and full support.
Mhm.
And over the course of time, we decided to get married, and mom and dad supported us financially, emotionally, spiritually, and I'm thankful that I said, they became more active in the church. Dad became a deacon, Sunday school teacher. Mom was actively, I don't remember that she was teaching anything, but just actively involved. Without that, could have looked very different. So Tracy and I got married that summer after 1 year at Tech, and um, they said, "You have to get your education, Tracy. Get back into tech, and we're going to help." And they essentially paid our rent every month for the next 3 years. First son, Travis, was born in November. Tracy was um, going to school full time and working. We learned how to be adults.
Yeah.
We were both pretty mature people for our age, but we learned how to be parents.
Mhm. Did he have any, like, help from his parents, or was it a different story on his end?
They were supportive,
Mhm.
um, emotionally supportive.
Okay.
They were not able to contribute financially, and he did not have a super close relationship with
Okay.
his dad. He did with his mom. So here we are going through tech, about 3 years of schooling for him to complete. I started back part time once Travis got a little bit older and he could be in a Mother's Day Out program here. And about 6 weeks before he graduated with his um, bachelor's, his mom passed away. We're 23, I think, at that time. And that's who he was closer to. Um, it was hard, but he had a very high work ethic. He just stayed focused. Men and their emotions are very different from ours, and we were learning that about one another, and we never wavered from our commitment to one another at the time. We just really did things out of order,
Hmm.
because we had been talking marriage. I probably was pregnant but didn't know it. So out of order, but tried to do our best and get things back on track.
Mhm.
So after he graduated, we moved to Oklahoma State University where he was going to get his master's. That's
Wow.
where I finished up my education there. Couldn't wait to graduate, both of us, graduate from school and
Mhm.
be adults and be on our own because my parents are still helping to support us a lot. My dad used to say, enjoy the college years. They're going to be the best years of your life. And I'm thinking, no, they're not. Gosh, you are supporting us. We need to make some money. We need to be on our own. And he was right. My dad was right. The college years can be some of the best years, just the friendships that are established. And I look back and I kind of realize that maybe I missed out on a, different path as far as establishing some close friends. And, it's in that time when you're just learning deeper about yourself. But it really brought Tracy and me closer, I think, during that time because we just kind of leaned on each other
Yeah.
during that time. So it's all good. Got out in the real world. Had Jack. They were about 8 years apart. Moved quite a bit for his work, which, again, I think I said high work ethic, very driven to be a good supporter of his family. And we moved from Oklahoma to Kansas to Colorado, and then finally back to Texas in 2000.
Were y'all involved in a church community at all throughout this? Or was
Everywhere.
that-
So, yeah, let me touch on that. So, when we moved to Oklahoma, matter of fact, in Lubbock, we were definitely active at Bacon Heights at the time. Brad Pettit, Brad and Karen are members here at Southcrest. He was our Sunday school teacher while we were at Bacon Heights. And I never could have told you his name until I handled his membership and they joined here. I'm like, oh my goodness, I know these people. But, at the time, we're 20-year-old first-time parents in a class with people that are, 30.
Mhm.
And it was not super comfortable, but needed. When we moved to Oklahoma, that was our first move together. Finding a church home was super important. And with each move, it became that and a pediatrician. Those are the two most important things when we made a move.
They're tough.
They are because you have sick children and you're spiritually sick. And so we just needed that. And we knew that became a priority to find a church home that we could be a part of, that could minister to us, that we could be active in and could pour into our child or children. And super important. And also during that time, it was once we were out of college, tithing, that became a priority as well. And to stay and, since about 2 years out of school that we were faithfully tithing. And let me say, we were on Medicaid, during the beginning of our marriage, we were on food stamps, we were on WIC, all these things that we did not, could not financially provide for ourselves. We moved into a position where we could and realized that the Lord took care of us, whether it was through government subsidies, whether it was through my parents and their help. And why would we not be obedient? There's no good reason to not be obedient.
Did you have specific people that were teaching y'all about tithing? I feel like that's a harder topic nowadays.
I could not tell you specific people. Best recall that it was just the truth in the groups that we were plugged into, whether it be in
the community that was
worship,
around you.
Yeah, okay. Just the truth of it, and people, pastors, teachers. Yeah, it just became a priority. I've never been without, even with hardship, and so needs have always been provided.
So then y'all came back to Texas in 2000, is that what you said?
Came back to Texas, okay. Yes. Just right before that, we lived in Denver for almost a full year. But in moving there, I had back surgery, major back surgery, and it was discovered because we had a different health insurance. And anyway, so what I thought I'd be going in for some chiropractic care that I'd had all my life, because I had scoliosis. and which is just curvature of the spine. The chiropractor, for the first time, I heard, I can treat you for this, but you're to a point where I think you need to talk to a surgeon
Mm.
about corrective. And that type of surgery is typically done in children, like teenagers.
Okay. Is it like the rod? Did they have to put a rod?
Yes.
Ooh.
So I did get rods put in, and the day that I am in surgery for like, I don't know, 10 or 11-hour surgery, Tracy got a phone call with a job opportunity in Texas the day that he's waiting for me to come out of surgery. Yeah. And I look back, and we even reflected, shortly thereafter, I'm like, the purpose of us moving to Colorado, I think, was my back surgery.
Wow.
Because the surgeon was phenomenal, a believer. I had multiple other consultations just to confirm, because it's a big surgery. Moved back to Texas, and
Is that hard to move back from the mountains?
Nope.
No.
Nope. We were so far from family. It was beautiful, but we were financially strapped there. And so moving back to Texas,
2 kiddos, and
2 kiddos, and came back closer to family, familiarity. I was always thankful for moving. Was not hard for me. I'm can be more of a socially outgoing person, and I was a stay-at-home mom. I don't think I mentioned that during all of this time. I was a stay-at-home mom.
Is that what you wanted to do?
Yes. And I did do, like, maybe worked at some Mother's Day Out programs, little side hustle, what have you. I actually worked at a vet for a little bit when we were a little more tight on money when we lived in Kansas, but that was short-lived. And he gave me some working mom hours, which is when the kids were in school. So that was a sweet treat for me, because I don't think I mentioned my degrees in animal science.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that.
Love for animals, yeah.
I guess that makes a little more sense now.
Maybe. Depends on how much you know about me.
Not much, actually.
Yeah. So there's a little tidbit.
Nice.
Anyway, moved back to Texas, and lived in Amarillo. One day, Tracy came home and said, I was sitting in the airport, and I was watching the family, and how would you feel about trying for a third child? And I'm like, oh, well, let me think about that.
How old was your second at this time?
So Travis, the first one, Travis, the oldest, would have been about 14, and Jack would have been about 6.
Okay.
And about to turn 7, I think. And it was summer, and he'd traveled and came home and said that. Caught me off guard, because 2 was what we were good with, 2 kiddos. And so I came back and said, okay, so here's the deal. We can try, but if by the end of the year we're not pregnant, then let's just not. Okay, let's just say not. And this is me trying to control the situation. And based on when Kate arrived, I'm pretty sure it was probably like that week. I'm like, the Lord's going to say, don't try and tell me what you're going to do. Don't try and put boundaries on me. And so, that would have been like August. Kate was born in April.
Wow.
So what a sweet blessing she's been as well for all 3. So I can't imagine not ever allowing the Lord to give us baby number 3.
She's wonderful.
She's pretty good.
Yeah.
Most of the time, in case you're watching this, Kate. When Kate was 4, well, Travis had just graduated high school, so he was 18. Tracy left. He became disconnected. I could see it happening, but never dreamed that was what was going on in his life. He was scheduled to be ordained as a deacon in a few months.
I was still at Bacon Heights?
No, because we were living in Amarillo.
Oh, Amarillo, right.
Yes, we extremely active at Trinity Baptist there. I didn't even mention, over the course of the time, Travis came to know the Lord. That was while we lived in Kansas. Jack came to know the Lord while we were in Amarillo. Kids were in Christian school. I don't know. We were just kind of honestly living the good life. I'm not going to say we were doing all things right, but we were very blessed.
Mm-hmm.
And Tracy got distracted and he left. Very much felt blindsided by that, very much. And so, said I wasn't going to need tissue, didn't I? um, the very first people I called were our Sunday school teachers. And Easters came right over. That was like 16 years ago. Y'all, divorce is just horrible. It's just horrible. Despite at one point me trying to reconcile and get him to consider, reconciling. And then he got to a point where he was ready to, but I realized he was not healthy. We're not ready to start that yet because I think you need to work on you things. And we ended up divorcing. And
Y'all had been together like 20 years at this point?
We would have had our 20th anniversary in a few months. So it was a little bit of a scary time. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I didn't work outside the home.
Mm-hmm.
Hadn't our entire time in Amarillo. 3 kids. I mean, one had just graduated, so 2 minors still living at home. We lived on 2 acres, kind of a big place to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
We came home from a week-long vacation together, and he had to fly home early for work. That's what he told me. But when I arrived home with the kids, drove in the car, he already had his car packed. He said, "I need to talk to you," and I've been unfaithful, and I'm leaving. And his car was packed, and he left. And that was a hard year that proceeded after that. But the Lord's faithful even through hardship. And the church we were plugged into, our Sunday school class, oh my, I can't imagine going through that chapter without them. And I had some great Christian women pouring into me during this time and giving some fantastic advice, because here you feel felt very, so deceived. And bitterness and anger started to creep in and play a role in my mind. And some of the best advice given was, it might be in your mind, but don't let it come out of your mouth.
Mm.
Do not talk ill of him in front of your kids, to your kids, about him. No matter what's happened between the 2 of you, that's still their dad. And best advice given to me, because you want your kids to have a relationship with their father, just like we want to have a relationship with our Heavenly Father. Despite me thinking, oh, he's such a loser, or, whatever, because of his choices that he's continuing to make and actively not being a part of their life, I had to remind myself they'll see him for who he is in their own relationship as they need to. And I said, I don't need to contribute to that. I'll end up looking like and being the negative, So if the negative is going to come out, then it will be his own doing, not mine. I'm just going to be here and love on these kids. I went through the bitterness of, well, he's moved out. I always have them. I never get a break. He can have them if he wants them on a weekend, whatever. And I'm like, what am I thinking? I'd be missing out on the blessing of experiencing them in their lives each day. Again, this is why I say kids pay the price, because they can quickly be seen as the burdens, part of the burdens that come with divorce, the pawns that could be used against each other. I hope I did a good enough job as a single mom during that time of loving them well and being honest with them, because Jack was about 10, turning 11 at the time, and boy, he had a lot of anger.
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
That's a tough age anyway.
Yeah.
But a lot of anger directed at me, and I told him that was okay. I understood it. We worked through it all together. Kate was so young. I'm not going to say it didn't affect her, But at that point in her life, it didn't affect her much.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest
Yeah.
ugly thing.
Yeah. When that happened, did y'all move from Amarillo or did y'all stay in Amarillo?
I got the house and everything in it. He gave that to me.
Okay.
And he was ordered to pay child support. And so it's taken care of in that regard. I quickly got a job working at church where we were attending. And we stayed there because advice, again, was don't make any big changes your first year,
Okay.
after losing a spouse. Well, in fact, I did lose a spouse.
Yeah.
Just not to death.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough, 5 months prior to Tracy leaving, a friend of mine, mother of two, her husband committed suicide. And we became very close during that time. She had no explanation as to why. She did not find him, but she dealt with all the lasting results of that. I remember us talking. It'd been about a year for her, and it'd been about 5 or 6 months since Tracy left. And she said, I don't think I'd rather be in your shoes of loss because you still have to see him. They both chose to leave, but you still have to deal with it. So I don't know. But I'm like, I can't believe you're saying this because I'm thinking I wouldn't want to be in your shoes, kind of thing. None of it's good.
Right.
None of it's good. But it was eye-opening. About a year later, I guess I sold that house and moved into something smaller. My oldest, Travis, had moved to the Metroplex, moved in with my folks, and was working there and doing some school, college. And so Jack and Kate and I moved into a smaller home. I got to a healthier place in life. The kids did. Jack did.
Mm-hmm.
My dad said, "Don't even consider dating anyone. Don't even consider doing anything like that until your kids are grown and out of the home."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Dad, those are really big words you're saying
Yeah.
without having lived through anything." I have a middle boy child who is a handful, who's still dealing with anger, and not that that's why I became open to dating again,
Mm-hmm.
but he said that after I had met Terry and we had begun dating.
He said that
And
after.
yeah, my dad did. Yeah, he said you don't need to consider remarriage. I think that's when we are trying to have good intentions, but we don't really know.
You're trying to be respectful.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm in prayer over all of this.
Yeah.
Everything. The next step forward and what it looks like, in prayer. Terry and I actually met online. And people don't know that about us because he lived here in Lubbock and I'm in Amarillo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. We dated for about a year and a half between Lubbock and Amarillo.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got married, the kids and I moved down here. He was willing to be up there. But anyway, number of reasons we decided to be here.
Was that hard to leave your church community?
That was extremely hard. That was the hardest part. So Pastor Nate McLaughlin was the pastor there at Trinity, still is. He married us. We did our premarital counseling there with him and had a very small, just family wedding. And again, here's the kids paying the price. So Terry has 3 children. I have 3 children. Terry had gone through a divorce and again, here's our kids and great. There's a new person now coming into our family life. We didn't ask for this. We don't want this.
Mm.
Larry and I spent a lot of time talking about what this would look like for our children.
Were his around the same age or were they younger?
His two oldest were already out and on their own. Oldest was married. The middle was soon to be married. And then the youngest was, when we got married, he was a senior in high school. Okay. And so when we got married, they moved down here and Kate was starting first grade and Jack was starting 7th grade when we moved here. And there's just lots of consideration for the kids at all ages.
Mm-hmm.
And I was about 40 when 41, I guess, when I got married. In some ways, I was thankful that we only had one side of kids to blend in, to bring under one roof because, smaller ages, maybe under 5 or something will look different. You think your adult kids are going to handle things well, and we don't even know what we're asking them to do. It's still foreign to me. So never had good sit down conversations with, especially like his oldest, who's the daughter. So now that we're blended, we have Alicia
Mm-hmm.
and then Adam and Reese and Travis and Jack and Kate. So we're 4 boys flanked by girls.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness. We started well and we ended well. And somewhere all those boys in the middle, they made up for all the things. Well, I've heard stories of raising, his kids. And I'm like, oh, you kids, you're so wonderful.
How kind.
They're all fantastic human beings. Wouldn't trade them for anything. And I think Terry and I have been married for 14 plus years now. We have learned to love one another. But it didn't come easy, especially for them, probably. Learning that, and for my kids as well, learning that just because you can love someone who's married to your parent doesn't mean you're being unfaithful to your mom or your dad because they've remarried. It's okay to love both. We've blended and it's been challenging. Terry has been a good stepfather. Kate does not know him as a stepfather. That's her dad. Because again, she was 5 when we got married, or 6 when we got married. So that's her dad. I think some of the relational struggle with Alicia being the oldest and being raised by Terry when he was, at the beginning of starting a family, you're trying to make financial ends meet, you work a lot, to now being, your second stage of life, your second half of life, you're financially settled better. And I suspect that Alicia watching her dad raise Kate was very hard. And that hurts for me to know that for her. But the Lord is gracious. And Alicia loves Kate like a sister. She probably had to work through some stuff. And I trust that she did with her dad. And now in the summer, they have time together as sisters. And it's grown something really beautiful.
It's awesome.
Beauty does come from hard things. There is sweetness at the end if you're seeking the Lord. That's the one caveat to it is, I believe, when you're seeking him and doing your best to walk in his way and in his will, and we take things and we mess them up, but it's about what you do with it afterwards. That makes a difference. All that to say, we're still working through hard things, because that's just life. We're still blending, I guess, all that to say. But it's good.
I guess you said y'all been married 14 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So did y'all move to Lubbock and start going to Southcrest or start working here at least?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So when I was working full-time as a single mom before we married in Amarillo, and I did the old-fashioned way and put cover letter, resume in a big envelope.
I bet it was beautiful.
Well, I don't know. It was something, I'm sure. Mailed it out to quite a few churches in the area. And I heard back from one church from Southcrest. And it was good old Ken Carter, who just retired. And anybody who knows Ken, I got an email. And, in my cover letter, it was like, oh, I'm going to be getting married and looking forward to moving. And, had the cushy life story in there that you can do as far as a woman talking a lot. And, hope to look for, place of employment, yada, yada. And I get an email from Ken. It just says, when can you come in for an interview? There's no There's no greeting.
Different styles of communication.
Yes. And so I'm like, all right, this sounds like someone who I can relate to. It sounds like my dad. And so, long story short, came in, had an interview once I moved here, was hired. I had no idea what I was walking into, had no idea that at the time there were 12 pastors here, did not know the scope and the size of this church, didn't even know what I was interviewing for. I mean, I'm thinking, church secretary, whatever, And then he's like, okay, after I did a typing test, because that's what, and I'll come back to that. There's some validity to it. I used to give Ken a hard time about, you had me do a typing test, dude. I mean, it just seems so silly. But he's like, that's what I know. I'm like, okay, to your credit. Then I came back in and interviewed with David and Miss Laura, and that went well. So started working here for Brother David. And
so you were interviewing for that position?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, at the time. Got that position, started working in August of 2011.
Okay.
And now at home, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to. Terry's like, well, we need to find a church. I'm like, I don't want to work and worship at the same place. I will never be away from that place. So we visited other churches. We visited other churches. We visited other churches. And here I am working and I'm getting to know staff and I'm learning about all the ministries. And Jack, like I said, was middle school, 7th grade. And I just got to say, if you don't have your kids in church, find a church for your kids. You can wait. You can do your own seeking and searching and ministry on your own if you need to, but find a program for your kids where they are going to thrive and be fed. I think that's key. So we knew for us that was a priority. And Brandon Hayes, he was a middle school pastor at the time.
What a great time.
Yep, it was goofy old Brandon. And I think Garrett was here. So Brandon was going to preach one day in the worship center. And I liked his outgoing personality. He's fun. And I said, let's just go and hear Brandon. Hook, line, and sinker, baby. I'm just saying. He reeled us in like that. I like to give David a hard time and say, yeah, I'm sorry, man. It wasn't you that got us here. I mean, got to keep people humble, right? Love you, Pastor David. No, it was the beginning of the end for us because we didn't need to search any longer. It was, if this is what is going to be fed up in the middle school, we want our kids. And so we did start to visit and eventually joined. It took us about 3 months, I think. And we joined and don't regret it one iota. Southcrest is filled with fantastic people. I mean, I knew that from working here on staff, and the staff is just, they're phenomenal. I mean, we are just people. We're all flawed. However, with that being said, we come in here and have the same mission and the same love for the Lord. And that is a bond that's undeniable. Working here has blessed me beyond measure. I didn't know that I could look forward to coming to work so much because I got to say, when Kate was little, 1st grade, remember, I'd been a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
So to not be dropping my child off at school and picking her up every day, to put her on a bus and have her come home on the bus was hard on this mama's heart. It was tough. It was sad, honestly. I'm going to say it took a couple of years.
Man.
It all ended up okay. Terry's self-employed, so he could be home when the kids got home. And, it was, that helped put my mind at ease, and it was just, maybe it helped build the bond with the kids and Terry a little more, me not being there for that. And anyway, working here has been such a blessing, such a gift, and it continues to be. I'm overwhelmed with the generosity of the people here. Just the people as a member and towards the staff.
David and I talk a lot about how special Southcrest truly is, right? He was raised in a ministry family and has seen a lot of churches. And just there's the
Good, bad,
Lord.
the ugly.
Yep. And right, like we're still, like you said, still a church and we're flawed people, but the Lord has his hand over Southcrest and it's very, very evident.
You know, to the credit of the teachers and preachers that are delivering the truth, that's why they're delivering the truth, and it's not swayed
Apologetically.
Yes, and that's what we need.
Do you have any pieces of advice for the next generation of women that, right, we don't know what's coming in our lives, and it seems like community and being a part of a church is very important and has been for your whole life, but what would be your biggest piece of advice for the next generation of women?
Well, I think I've already said this. Chase after Jesus. Just chase after him. I haven't always done that. He's always chased after me, though, and I'm thankful for that. So chase after him, no matter the influences, even under your own roof, because I know that there are women, there are marriages where it's one-sided, maybe. Just be faithful to the Lord. Pray for your spouse. Pray for your children. Gosh, just keep them first and foremost, and stay within your community. And your community doesn't have to be big. For having a daughter that's very, very outgoing and social, who always had a lot of friends in high school, had a lot of friends in high school, getting out and going into college and having like 2 friends. I'm like, honey, remember, quality over quantity. Because if you're not influencing them, they'll be influencing you. So just make sure you choose wisely your community.
I think that was a great answer.
That's what I got. That's all I got. Today, anyway. Ask me another day. It could be something different.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I know it's just very vulnerable. And so I really appreciate you. And I think the women of Southcrest will appreciate you as well.
Thank you. I appreciate you asking me. I've considered it an honor. And I felt ill-equipped. I will just say, still feel ill-equipped. And I think I told you this earlier. I wanted to know all the questions. I wanted to be prepared because that's who I am naturally. And then I realized I was making it about me. And so I decided not to look at your questions. Took a big, big, big step for me anyway, personally. And just ask the Lord to be at the center of all of this. And again, I'm almost 55 and I'm still learning to do this and hoping someday I do it well. But
I think you did a wonderful job.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We'll see y'all next time.